The Cheating Death Podcast is a comedy podcast providing objective information about any situation under the sun. We are not religious nor political. We are merely litigious and slightly analytical. Your discretion in this matter is advised. On today's episode of the Cheating Death Podcast, we discuss the inspiration for the movie version of Brookhaven Asylum in Silent Hill. Yes, Rockwood Asylum. We take you within its walls and identify some of its spooky components. We also provide you with an all-new joke of the episode, an all-new Annihilation Announcement, a couple more questions from the mailbag, and, of course, dear listener, you know what to do by now. Grab your coffee, put your feet up, and let us tell you how you can cheat death. This is your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this is your Annihilation Announcement. Rockwood is a prototype for what asylums look like in the mind of the human person. When we look forward towards the future, in an archaic time such as 1875, you look towards a building of this nature and you cannot be helped but stricken with awe, gratitude, and almost a sheer complex of understanding just how small the universe and existence really is in the grand scheme of things. We have billions of neural pathways in our brains, up, down, left, right, billions of variations in between, yet every day many of us continue to neglect our mental health. Sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it's the fault of those around you and the fault of your upbringing. However, we as a society, for however we've advanced technologically and with respect to communication, we need to start doing better for those we care about and for those around us. This has been your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this has been your Annihilation Announcement. Willkommen, meine Freunde. Guten Morgen, guten Tag und eine gute Nacht. Ist eine Reisende und eine Ausländer, deine Allesfresser. Du ganz allein und bist du traurig? Name ist nicht mehr. Komm mit mir. Today, dear listener, we conclude this saga of asylum exploration, this chapter of asylum exploration for now, with the movie inspiration of Brookhaven Asylum in Silent Hill. Yes, dear listener, we are providing you with the quintessential, the iconic, the aura-farming facade known as Rockwood Asylum, located in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. One of the very first asylums in Upper Canada and in North America proper, opened in 1859. Rockwood Asylum, the goal was to establish a facility for the criminally insane and provide safe housing that would ensure that both administration and the public at large were safe from these individuals of sheer horror and sheer terror. Where the inspiration comes from Brookhaven in Silent Hill is the absolute monolithic look of its 5 to 6 story facade in some parts, with its absolutely monolithic, beautiful triangular top cresting the line from the penthouse, peering over the land, and the grounds proper was this absolutely mystifying mega building of pure mental insanity. For you see, when you look at this building, you would never know that it was not designed initially on land that was designed for the purpose of treating the ill. Absolutely not. The 48 waterfront estate sat just outside of Portsmouth. So when you take into consideration around that time the fact that Canada was not even formally a country yet, there were approximately 8 years remaining before it was to be a country proper itself. But it was ambitious. The goals, the desires, the dreams of those in whom were responsible for this facility's birth would not be silenced. Located at 752 King Street West in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, it still stands today as an absolute relic, a beautiful piece, a reminder, a memory of mental illness past, and it is widely speculated that this is going to remain for years to come. For when you take into consideration earlier when we mentioned that it was one of the very first asylums in Upper Canada in 1859, when it opened its doors in 1862, it was predominantly designed for those in whom were completely incapable of rehabilitating their minds, their souls, and their very beings. You take into account exactly where it is located and where Kingston, Ontario sits in comparison to where the rest of the province is, and you will see for yourself that this was an absolutely tremendously outstanding property. Go ahead. Have you been through Kingston yourself, dear listener? I highly encourage you to go for a drive down King Street West. Take a little bit of a drive down Union Street, maybe pop by Gardiner, go down McDonald Avenue, and then go on down to Heeks Lane, where you will see the remnants of the monster, of the grounds that once housed some of the most dangerous people in North America. Thank you for tuning in today. Take care of yourselves and each other. At the top of today's episode, we promised you a list of our top 5 favorite Silent Hill 1 moments. Again, it's just the moments that we feel are great right now. Coming in at number 5, your first entrance into the radio. What's going on with that radio? Entry number 4, the very first time that you see Cheryl in the mist. Coming in at number 3, when you enter Lakeside Amusement Park. Coming in at number 2, we of course have the first time you go to the elementary school and you get attacked by the dog while looking at the doghouse. And of course, dear listeners, coming in at number 1, anytime Mr. James reaches into his bucket of tricks and makes Harry fall off of the stairs. If you have the old PS1 version, take Harry up any random stair set, then try to walk backwards, you will see that Harry falls down each and every single time, and it never gets any less funny. What are your top 5 favorite Silent Hill 1 moments? Please email us at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. Today's portion of the program in the mailbag begins in a beautiful area of the world as we begin in Manchester, New Hampshire. Cheryl asks the following. Hello, Cheating Death Podcast, long-time listener. We listen to your show every morning when I drop the kids off at school and when I'm on my way to work. My question to you is, you've brought up sports teams every now and again, and you seem like somebody who really watches and or used to watch sports. My question to you is, why do you think that New Hampshire does not have any NFL, NBA, NHL, or MLB teams? And why? Well, Cheryl, thank you so very much for listening every morning, especially if you're on your drive time commute. And you bring up an excellent question. Why doesn't Manchester, New Hampshire, or New Hampshire proper have any professional sports teams on that level? One could argue that you, Vermont, and I would even argue that Wyoming could make a case and band together and demand that you receive fair treatment, because there is nothing more American than going to a baseball game or to a football game, and you are being deprived of that right. Having to drive through the turnpike and pay tolls just to go see a live sports game should not be your future. Thank you so very much for your question, Cheryl. Our next question comes to us from Andy over in Liverpool, England. Hello, Cheating Death Podcast. I know that you said on a recent podcast what your favorite teas are, but if you were to combine tea and lemonade, what would be your favorite and why? Well, that's a great question, Andy. And if I'm to provide you with the most succinct answer, you put any raspberry or any blueberry tea with actual raspberries, actual blueberries used in the manufacturing, and maybe a little bit as like a garnish afterwards that you can eat after you drink. They make an excellent, exquisite flavor combination with lemonade, raspberry, blueberry, anything like that. Automatic 100% guaranteed winner, especially when it's a summer afternoon. You just had yourself a few shots of Jose Cuervo Silver or some Terramana Silver, or if you're feeling extra beautiful and you have something to celebrate, some Patron Especial. Of course, the silver variation is also the smoothest tasting. Have yourself a raspberry tea lemonade with that, and you will have yourself an absolutely tremendous afternoon. Thank you so very much for your question, Andy. And that'll do it for today's episode of the Mailbag. If you would like to read and send us your questions to have them read on air, email us at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. Today's joke has been brought to you by the Cleric of Chaos. You ever work in an office? You ask yourself the question, if the point of a mandatory office birthday party is to raise morale, why do they always make it so depressing? Rockwood Asylum. The very nature of this facility, despite being located in Upper Canada, is one of the absolute quintessential facades, backdrops for some of your favorite horror movies, films, short, visionary films, and more. But it is to be noted, dear listener, that any individual, regardless of geographic location, can easily find themselves in one of these types of facilities should you find yourself in the 1800s and in a position to where society may not necessarily agree with your position. Do what you can to avoid the beautiful building. Thank you for tuning in today. Take care of yourselves and each other. The Cheating Death Podcast is brought to you by Nach dem Leben CRDVC, Chaos Realm, Cleric of Chaos, and where you find all podcasts on all platforms. We'd like to thank Hunter Collins and Ransom for their generous donations to the Buy Me a Coffee /Injury Support Fund, and Carol for her donation to the Injury Support Fund. Things are going to be pretty rough here for the next couple months. If you'd like to support the program, you may do so at the links in the episode's description. There is a Buy Me a Coffee, a Cameo, merch. There is a ton of different ways that you may support the program if you so shall choose. If you or anyone you know is experiencing psychiatric duress, domestic violence, or emergency health-related situations, please call one of the telephone numbers listed in the episodes or in the podcast's description. Please follow our YouTube page, like, share, and subscribe at youtube.com/@clericchaos and youtube.com/@WeLGDeath, and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/WeLGDeath and twitter.com/clericchaos. If you or anyone you know is looking at adopting a playful puppy or a cute kitten, please visit your local animal adoption rescue center. And, dear listener, your life is not a one-way street. There is no easy way to explain exactly how many branches and leaves there are on your tree of life. The best you can do is grow within your circumstances. Remember, we're pulling for you. We're all in this together.